Yo, what's up, Facebook and YouTube? This is Sports Freak Guys here. Last time I talked about the amazing finish to the NASCAR season at the 2011 Ford 400 at Homestead Miami Speedway, and I still cannot believe how great of a finish that was to that season. But today I'm going to be talking about something a little different, the BCS for college football. Now, the thing about the BCS is basically that the BCS is figured out each week by the number of wins that you have, the amount of stats that you have against other teams, like the number of points you win by, and the amount of votes you get in polls, like the AP poll or the BCS poll. Now, some people are starting to question whether this way of determining a national champion at the college football level is the correct way to do things. And people are wondering, should it be done a little bit more like the playoffs in other sports, like the NBA or college basketball, where they have like elimination games or best of seven or something like that. So basically, a lot of people are starting to ask that question, and I personally think that they should have more playoffs type, like they have the two teams come together, and then they have one game elimination, win all or lose all game, and then that team will go on to the next round, and they should have like a predetermined number of teams that do this, like maybe 32, best 32 in the country, best 64 in the country, best 128 in the country. So question is, should that be the way that the BCS should run? Should it not be considered based on how many wins that you have and the AP polls and everything else that goes with it? The thing about it is I think the BCS really is great in terms of figuring out what team is really good and what team should really have a chance to win the national championship. And I believe that the BCS would really work well if you have it like college basketball. College basketball also has a ranking system. So when it comes time to the playoffs, you know what like 128 teams are the best enough to go and try to win a national championship. And with the BCS, that's not the case. Whatever is the top two teams considered by Poland and their record by the end of the season are the ones that are playing a one-all, take-all championship game at the end of the year. So I think it should be more like college basketball where they do the playoffs, because then that would give more teams a chance to win the national championship and not just get unlucky because of the BCS, the way the BCS works. Now, a lot of speculation comes up about it this week because there were so many teams that lost their first game of the year this week in college football, and it really screwed up the BCS standings. I mean, they didn't screw it up, but it really jumbled them up to a big surprise. That's why they say every week counts in college football. So for example, Oregon lost their first game against this year against underdog USC, and of course USC used to be one of the top college teams in the United States, but no more. So anyway, USC beat Oregon by 3 points. So that gave Oregon their first loss. And then Oklahoma State got upset by Iowa State, and Oklahoma State was the number 2 team in the nation. So Oklahoma State, they went down. And then a few other teams lost their first games of the season. So ultimately, you have LSU, who still has a perfect record, and then you have Alabama that has one loss, move up to the second position. Oklahoma State got down to the third, or wait, they didn't get down to the third. Arkansas moved up to the third, and then it goes on from there until the 8th position, which is Houston, which is the only other NCAA Division I college football team to not have lost a game yet this season. And yet, why are they not number 2 if they're perfect? Well, it could be because they're not doing games against hard opponents, or it could be that some of their stats are down, or they think they have no chance against LSU and other teams. It depends. But that's kind of what I'm going at, is why in the heck is Houston not number 2 ranked in the nation if it has a perfect record and it has defeated, a good team or somewhere or there. That's what I kind of question about the way that the BCS runs. I think it kind of is unfair the way that it does go, because, unless you're number 1 or 2, you can't win a national championship no matter how you've been all year, no matter how good you have been. Even if you had a perfect record, you couldn't win the national championship, which I think is totally wrong. So, therefore, I think they do need playoffs in college football to therefore give more teams who have had a good chance to win a national championship and that deserve to get a chance to get a national championship have that opportunity and have it a nice, fair, one game elimination thing every single week until you're down to the final two teams, and then that should be considered BCS championship. Because literally, there's a whole bunch of teams that go and play in bowl games. I mean, I believe that the rule is that you play in a bowl game if you have a record greater or equal to a 500. So therefore, that means if you have the exact same number of wins or losses, or you have more wins than losses, that means that you play a bowl game. And there is like so many bowl games, it's nearly impossible to believe how in the heck they know how to say each bowl game every year. I mean, there's so many of them. I mean, there's the Emerald Bowl, there's the Cotton Bowl, there's the Sugar Bowl, there's the Rose Bowl, BCS National Championship game. There's all of them, and then tons and tons and tons more. You know, the Orange Bowl, that's just to name another one of them. So really, in a way, it's kind of like a ton of championship games, but literally there's only one way that you can get a national championship, and that's by playing in the BCS. And even if you win these other bowls, I mean, yeah, you get the trophy for them, but you really don't get anything to show for it because you didn't really work your way there. You just got put in there because you got a 500 or better. So personally, I think that the 500 thing is a good rule about it, but I personally don't like the way that the bowl system works because there's too many bowl games, and it's basically there's nothing special about those bowls because you don't win, because you don't get to go on to try to win a national championship. It's just a matter of if you're at the top of the BCS rankings or not. So therefore, I think that it is not a good idea to do the BCS the way they're doing it. Some of it's okay, but some of it they need to change. And even ESPN analysts are agreeing with that. And so basically, that is my opinion on the BCS. So check out the link at the bottom about my blog website. I have kind of a thing like that, give pros and cons. I've got other blog stuff. I've got polls. I got you decide things. I got breaking news. I got all that. And then hopefully I'm going to make some more sports videos, topics, and all that other stuff. So for now, this is Sports Freak Guys from YouTube signing off. Good night.